Hi and welcome back to The Books Are Everywhere. So today I am going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I will link the original creator of this tag down below, but I know this is one that most people like doing every year to reflect on the first half of the year and their first half of the reading year. So I thought I would join in. I did this last year on my blog and I do always enjoy doing this. Although I find it really hard to pick books, especially for some of these that are like the best book you've read or things like that. So let's give it a go. I've gone through all of the books I've read so far this year. So I have read 94 books so far this year, which is amazing considering my goal is 100 and I am almost there. We're only halfway through the year. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Anyway, let's see what I've read this year and some of my highlights and worst books I've read and things like that. So let's start with the best books I've read this year, or the best book I've read this year. I've cheated a little bit and gone for a graphic novel and a prose novel to give you a bit of both, because my favourite is probably Mooncakes by Wendy Zhu and Suzanne Walker. I read this one back in January and I just absolutely loved it. It has a really, really beautiful art style. I love these characters. This follows a witch and a non-binary main character, which I really, really liked. This is just so diverse. It has a lovely family aspect to it, but it also has a witchy theme going on. So yeah, it follows Nova, who is a witch who also I think lives in a bookshop that her grandma's run, and discovers that her childhood crush is who is a werewolf, is battling a horse demon. So there is a slowly rekindling romance, but also a lot of adventure and action going on with some really, really beautiful illustrations, and I love this just so much, so it's one of my favourite books. And definitely one of the favourites I've read this year. And then for a bit of variation, I also chose my favourite prose novel for this year, and that is Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi. There will be a few things repeated in this just because some of the questions are kind of similar, so you'll probably see this one and Mooncakes again in this video, but I didn't expect to love this so much because I thought, I would like it, but it would just be kind of a standard YA contemporary. But it reminded me so much of how me and my boyfriend got together that it made me cry, it made me love this so, so much. This follows Penny Lee and Sam. Penny has just moved to college in Texas and Sam already lives near the college. And yeah, it's just so cute, so cute. Love these two characters. The romance is kind of text-based, and they end up kind of falling for each other over text messages, which I just found really cute, and it was made for such an easy read as well. And I just love these two characters, and I was rooting for them throughout the whole thing. And this one also discusses some really important deep topics as well throughout this book. So yeah, I just love this. I gave both of these 5 stars, of course. And then we have the best sequel you've read so far this year. So again, I chose 2 books because the one that jumped into my head was Crooked Kingdom, but because this is a reread, I kind of felt like it was cheating because I read this before when it first came out and absolutely loved it. But this one is the second book in the Six of Crows duology and is the 5th book in the Grishaverse if we're looking at it in chronological order, and I love this one so much. It follows the same character of Six of Crows and a continuation of their story, and it is full of action, it's full of emotion, and I love these characters. This is probably my favourite collection of characters, and there's a real found family aspect to this, and it always makes me cry and I love it so much. So I just chose that one, but I also thought I'd choose one that I haven't read before, so I went for Capturing the Devil by Kerry Maniscalco. This is the last book in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series and is my favourite one. This series follows Audrey and Thomas as they are hunting for murderers basically in different parts of the world. It starts with Jack the Ripper in Stalking Jack the Ripper, and then it goes on to different ones. They are very creepy, they're very full of romance but also dark, and this one was full of twists and turns and I couldn't put it down. Absolutely loved it. I love Audrey Rose and Thomas so much. And I would just like to thank Amy for introducing me to this series. We were buddy reading this going into the year, and this is one of the first books I read this year, and I really, really liked it. And then we have a new release you haven't read yet but want to. So I have two here that I actually own but haven't read yet, and that is A Faux Love Story by Loan Lee. That is about two rival faux restaurants and the, I think, children of the people that run those faux restaurants. So their families are rivaling each other, they hate each other, but they actually become friends and have to keep their relationship a secret. I love books about food and I'm so excited to read this one. And then we have She's Too Pretty to Burn by Wendy Hurd. All I know is this one is a thriller. It has two girls, a fire, a chance to be remembered. It is inspired by the picture of Dorian Gray. It's a sexy psychological thriller exploring the intersections of love, art, danger and power. So there's one fire, two murders, three drowning bodies, one suspect, one stalker and a summer they won't survive. And I think there is also a relationship at the heart of this one. Such a pretty cover. It's taken months for this to arrive, so I think that's made me really anticipate it as well. I can't wait to read this one. And the last one I am really looking forward to read but haven't actually bought yet is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. This is Casey's second book, the first one being Red, White and Royal Blue, which I did enjoy, but One Last Stop is really calling out to me. It's a sapphic romance that also includes time travel elements about, I think it's set in New York as well. There's so much hype around it already and I've heard people absolutely love it, so I can't wait to read that one, but I need to pick up a copy. And then we have anticipated releases that aren't out yet for the second half of the year. The first one on this list is Gods and Monsters by Shelby McEwen. It's a bit of a weird one to put on here because I haven't actually read Blood and Honey yet, so Gods and Monsters will be the third book in the Serpent and Dove universe, but Serpent and Dove was my second favourite book of 2020, so I had to include this on this list. But I can't really say a lot about it because I haven't read Blood and Honey, therefore I can't read the synopsis of Gods and Monsters yet. I was going to read Blood and Honey kind of halfway between reading Serpent and Dove last September and the release of Gods and Monsters, and it just hasn't happened, so I think maybe I'll reread Serpent and Dove and read them all together when it comes out. But yeah, that is definitely high on my list of ones that I'm looking out for. And the second one is Hello From Here by Chandler Baker and Wesley King. This is a bit of a strange one. It is inspired by COVID-19 quarantine, I think last year, and lockdown, and it is about two people that meet in the canned goods aisle of a supermarket just as the state of California is going into lockdown. And then I think they basically want to be together but obviously can't be together because of the quarantine that's going on. And although it does daunt me to read about the pandemic when we're already like still in the pandemic, this one really intrigues me because I really want to know how it's written, because there is going to be a lot of stories that come out of the quarantines and stuff, so I find it really interesting and I really want to read it when it comes out. And then the next one is Rise to the Sun by Leah Johnson, which comes out on July 6th, so it may already be out by the time you're watching this video. And I just loved You Should See Me in a Crown so much when I read it last year that this one is definitely a highly anticipated release for this year. And this one follows Olivia and Tony. Olivia is an expert at falling in love and at being dumped, and she's determined to turn over a new leaf, and Tony is 1 week away from starting college and it's the last place that she wants to be. She's not sure who she wants to become and she's still reeling in the loss of her musician turned roadie father, and they both end up at a music festival called Farmland and they want to have like a crush-free weekend, a drama-free weekend, and I think some stuff happens that brings them quite close together. I love Leah Johnson's writing so much in You Should See Me in a Crown that I'm very excited to read this next one from her. And then we have Biggest Disappointments. I have chosen two for this one, both that I read earlier in the year. Obviously, for obvious reasons, I don't own either of these books anymore, but I will put the covers here. The first one was an absolute no-brainer, and that was Life and Death by Stephanie Meyer. This is the hands down worst book I've ever read. This was a rewrite of the Twilight series as a whole, I think, with a different ending, but it was written with the gender roles switched. There is so many problems with this book that I actually made a whole video about it, which I will link down below, and I wrote a very long review out for my blog because I really didn't like this book. It had so many problems that I won't go into now. But yeah, I just found it highly problematic. And for the similar reason, I am going to put Chasing the Stars by Mallory Blackman in here. I just really couldn't get on with the story at all. I found the relationship in it had a lot of problems and, if I'm remembering rightly, gave off a very bad kind of role model to young children who will be reading this book, and it really concerned me when I read it. I really didn't enjoy it at all. So I think I gave that one like 2 stars or 2.5 stars, and Life and Death got 1 star, solid 1 star, because it was so bad. But yeah, these were definitely big disappointments of the year. So on a nicer note, we have the biggest surprises of the year. So I wanted to include Anne of Green Gables in here. I've been reading a classic a month this year as recommended to me by my friends, and this one was recommended to me by my friend Harry, and I just really enjoyed this one a lot more than I expected. It was so cute to follow Anne Shirley as she grows up and as she is adopted by a brother and sister and moves into their home with them, and it was just really heartwarming, and seeing how she kind of had an effect on the people around her was really lovely as well. And then I have another classic, which was The Railway Children by E. Nesbit. I read this one completely on a whim because I had some free time reading audiobooks while I was driving, and this was a very short audiobook, so I dived into it. This was also recommended to me by Alex as part of the same challenge, and I absolutely loved it. I read this one while driving and running through the English countryside, and it was the perfect thing to read about because it really captured the essence and the atmosphere of this book. This follows, I think, 3 siblings as they move to the English countryside and kind of befriend the people in the countryside and at the station. So they're moving there from London. It was really heartwarming, emotional, and had a mystery element that I didn't expect, and really drew me into the story, so I really liked that one. And we also have An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I've been putting this one off for a while because I didn't know what I'd think of it. Finally picked it up earlier this year and I absolutely loved it. I'm waiting for the paperback release of the sequel, which I think comes out this month, and I can't wait for that because I really need the second part of this book. I don't often read books and think, oh my god, I need the second one now, but with this one I did. I absolutely love this. This is so weird. It follows somebody who finds a statue in the middle of the night in New York City, this massive statue, and posts a video about it on YouTube that goes viral. It's kind of following her fame from this video going viral, but also follows a lot of mystery around the statues that appear all over the world and why they're there and how they've been put there and things like that. Couldn't put this one down, read it in a day and absolutely loved it. So it comes as no surprise that one of my favourite new authors was Hank Green, so favourite new author is the next question on there, and one of my other favourite new authors is Mary Kay Choi. This is new authors to me, by the way, so people that I've read for the first time this year. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Al McNichol, who I read Show Us Who You Are this year and absolutely loved it, so I definitely want to read It Kind of Spark very soon, so I wanted to put that on there as well. So there is 3 authors that are new to me this year that I've absolutely adored and given 5 stars to the books that I've read from them. And then we have new favourite characters. I find this one quite hard, and I have taken out the question of favourite crush because I don't really crush on people in books at all. So I've taken out that question, and favourite characters I'm finding difficult as well. I want to give a bit of a shout out to Nick and Charlie from the Heartstopper series, but they are not new to me. I've just reread the Heartstopper series up until the end of volume 4 this year when that was released. I also wanted to say Nina from Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. I love her so much. And one that is new to me was Jo from Little Women. I read Little Women this year and I absolutely loved it, and Jo has my heart. All of the Little Women do, but Jo especially. But she's kind of new to me in the sense that I only read the book for the first time this year. But I did see the film last year, so it's a little bit of a contradiction. And then we have books that made me cry, and I've already mentioned this one, but Crooked Kingdom is definitely one of the ones that made me cry. I'd say this is the only one I can think of that made me properly cry. I have tears at a lot of books. A lot make me emotional, but not many make me actually sob. The other one that came to mind was XOXO, which follows 2 characters in Korea, one of which is a cello prodigy who ends up going to this music school in Korea from America, and she, after having a chance meeting with him before in New York, ends up going to the same school as a K-pop star, and they end up kind of forming a friendship. And I was rooting for these guys so much that in the last 20 pages of this I was getting really emotional and definitely had tears in my eyes, so I thought I would give a shout out to that one as well. And again, bringing up another book for the second time for the question book that made you happy, and I wanted to include Mooncakes in this one because I would happily reread this one again soon. It just made me so happy. I love the art style of it, and I would definitely just delve into this. The drawings make me happy, the artwork makes me happy, the colours of this book are so beautiful, and the characters as well just make me so happy. I also wanted to shout out Me, My Dad and the End of the Rainbow, which I don't have a copy of anymore because I gave it to my friend Jo because I thought she would really like the book as well. But this one followed Archie, who's a 12-year-old boy and his dad had just come out as gay, and he ends up finding a flyer for Pride that comes out of his dad's pocket and ends up going to Pride with his two best friends, and it was just absolutely so cute and gave some amazing representation for a middle grade book, and I absolutely loved it, so I wanted to give a shout out to that one. And then we have the most beautiful book that you've bought or received so far this year, and I couldn't not say Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. I finally, after years of searching, got my hands on this beautiful Waterstones edition to match the rest of my set, and I haven't stopped looking at it since. It catches my eye a lot when I'm in my room and honestly makes me happy every time I see it that I finally have it, so I had to just say this one. And the next question is books you want to read by the end of 2021, and I want to include The Maze Runner. I want to get this one off my TBR. The first one is on my TBR for July, and I want to carry on with the rest of the series as well. But yeah, this one is a high priority. There are some other series I'd like to read by the end of the year, but this one especially. And then I would also like to read some more classics by the end of the year. I've been making a strong headway in my classic editions, the Wordsworth edition set that I bought early this year, and I made a goal for myself to read a classic a month for the rest of the year to get through that set, and I wanted them to be recommended by friends. I have done that and more. I've read other classics from that set that haven't been recommended to me, and I've been enjoying some a lot and not enjoying others quite so much, but I've definitely been making my way through the set and I'd like to continue to do that. And the last question in this tag is your favourite book to movie adaptation you've seen so far this year. I would like to just give a bit of a shout out to both Shadow and Bone, which has been an absolutely amazing adaptation, and I'm glad it just came to my mind randomly because honestly that made me so emotional. And if I was answering this question of like any adaptation, series or movie, that would be the top spot. Shadow and Bone Netflix show was absolutely amazing, blew my mind, made me cry in every single episode. I adored it. But the other one was Love, Victor, the Disney Plus adaptation of Love, Simon. It's showing on Disney Plus in the UK. I think it's Hulu in America, might be wrong. But yeah, Love, Victor, me and my boyfriend have been watching and quite enjoying that one as well, so I thought I'd give a bit of a shout out. But if we're sticking to favourite book to movie adaptation, I want to say Always and Forever, Lara Jean. I love these books, but the movies, honestly, they are some of the only books I would say I prefer the movies over the books, because these books translate so well into movies and they are a massive source of comfort for me. Sometimes if I'm feeling ill or I'm feeling down, or I'll just randomly rewatch these, I really, really love them. I love the sister relationship in this series and I feel like everything just translates so well into film. So yeah, I definitely go and watch these Netflix adaptations because they're done really well, and this one, the last one, came out early this year and there was a massive trip to Korea in it as well, which I really liked. So that was my mid-year freak out tag. I would say I'm freaking out, but honestly I'm doing okay. I'm very proud of myself for what I've read so far this year. The only thing I am definitely freaking out at is the amount of books that are still on my physical TBR, which is currently probably higher than the start of this year, and one of my goals was to get it lower than it was at the start of this year. So I'm freaking out about that, definitely, but I'm not freaking out about what I've read because I have had a great reading year so far and I just hope it continues. So that was my mid-year freak out tag. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please give it a like and comment down below if you have read any of the books that I've mentioned in this video. And I will see you next time with another video. Please subscribe if you would like to, but no pressure. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye!